What if one aircraft could have ended the Iran war in hours? Not a fleet, not a coalition. One jet. It's called the X-1, and it reportedly came from the last place anyone expected, Elon Musk's SpaceX.
Well, I mean, the exciting thing to do would be some sort of electric vertical takeoff and landing, supersonic jet of some kind.
Vertical takeoff and landing, meaning no need for a runway. Just shoot up straight in the air, and then...
During early tests, the Pentagon mistook it for a UFO and scrambled fighters to intercept. Right now, the US and Israel are at war with Iran. Thousands of drones are overwhelming billion-dollar defense systems across the Gulf. And if the insider reports are true, the X-1 could make all of them obsolete overnight.
Okay, you've got your finger in so many different advanced technologies. SpaceX, Tesla, now you've got Solar City.
SpaceX's track record. To understand why the X-1 is being taken seriously, you have to understand something about SpaceX. Every major thing they've ever done was called impossible first. In 2008, Falcon 1 became the first privately funded liquid-fueled rocket to reach orbit. Governments had monopolized that achievement for decades. SpaceX did it after 3 consecutive failures that nearly bankrupted the company. Musk later admitted he had enough funding for one more attempt. If that 4th launch had failed, SpaceX would have died on the launch pad. It didn't. Then came Falcon 9, and with it, the moment that changed everything. December 2015. A booster comes screaming back from space, slows itself down, and lands upright on a concrete pad. The control room erupts. Engineers are screaming, crying, climbing on top of each other. The aerospace world had said reusable rockets were a fantasy. SpaceX turned them into a routine Tuesday. After that, the hits kept coming. Falcon Heavy launched payloads into deep space. Dragon became the first commercial spacecraft to dock with the ISS. Crew Dragon now carries astronauts to orbit. Starship is being built for the Moon and Mars. Starlink has put thousands of internet satellites into orbit. In 2025 alone, SpaceX carried out over 160 launches. SpaceX has not admitted to the existence of the X-1. But when a company has made the impossible routine this many times, you stop betting against them. And the timing couldn't be more critical. Since February 28th, the US and Israel have been at war with Iran. Iran has fired over 1,500 missiles and launched thousands of drones at Israel, US bases, and Gulf states. Dubai's airport was hit. Qatar lost 17% of its LNG output. Gulf air defenses stopped most ballistic missiles, but have struggled badly against cheap drone swarms that overwhelm interceptors through sheer volume. Meanwhile, China has deployed the DF-17 hypersonic glide vehicle that most American systems cannot intercept. Traditional air power is being challenged from both ends, and the X-1, if it exists, could be the answer to both problems at once. The X-1. What we know. According to multiple insider reports, the X-1 isn't just another fighter jet. It's described as a UFO-like aircraft capable of reaching hypersonic speeds around 4,600 miles per hour deep beyond Mach 5, where aerodynamics start behaving differently. For context, the F-22 Raptor tops out around 1,500 miles per hour. The F-35 Lightning sits closer to 1,200. The gap is enormous, but speed is only part of the picture. The X-1 reportedly reaches altitudes of 105,000 feet, far above where any modern fighter operates. The F-22 flies at around 65,000 feet. Even the legendary SR-71 Blackbird couldn't reach the heights the X-1 is claimed to achieve. At that altitude, the air is dramatically thinner. Drag drops significantly, and the aircraft gains a commanding view of everything happening below. Combined with its speed, the X-1 would occupy a flight envelope where interception becomes nearly impossible. Let that sink in for a second. Traditional air defense systems rely on tracking, prediction, and response time. But at 4,600 miles per hour, the X-1 crosses the entire Mediterranean in under 4 minutes. By the time a conventional fighter detects it, it could already be over the horizon. And at 105,000 feet, most ground-based radar systems can't maintain a consistent lock. The X-1 would fly above the ceiling of current air defense networks, seeing everything touched by nothing. Reports also suggest the X-1 achieves a 30% reduction in fuel consumption compared to traditional military aircraft, which at hypersonic speeds sounds almost paradoxical. The explanation likely lies in its propulsion system. Engine and propulsion. The X-1 doesn't rely on conventional jet engines. Instead, it reportedly uses a rocket-like propulsion system, closer to what powers spacecraft than what drives fighter jets. That means extreme thrust, the ability to keep accelerating at high altitudes, and performance in conditions where traditional engines cannot function because the air is too thin. Some reports claim the engine is derived from a compact space shuttle engine previously seen only in SpaceX's experimental hypersonic missile program. If true, this would explain both the extreme speed and the unusual fuel efficiency. Rocket-style engines at extreme altitude encounter far less atmospheric drag, meaning less energy wasted and more thrust translated directly into speed. This is reportedly how the X-1 pushes into hypersonic territory and stays there, not just in short bursts like a missile, but in sustained, controlled flight. That distinction is critical. Plenty of weapons can briefly hit Mach 5. An aircraft that can cruise at those speeds while remaining maneuverable and operational represents something fundamentally different. Consider what sustained hypersonic flight means in practical terms. The X-1 could reach a target thousands of miles away, execute a precision strike, and return to base before a traditional fighter has even completed its intercept trajectory. That's not a faster jet. That's a different category of weapon entirely. Weapons, the microwave system. But the engine is only half the story. What's drawing the most attention is the X-1's reported weapon system, and it doesn't fire a single bullet or missile. The X-1 is said to carry directed energy weapons, specifically high-power microwave systems. These don't rely on projectiles or explosives. Instead, they emit concentrated beams of electromagnetic energy designed to disable targets instantly. At full power, microwave radiation can overload electronic circuits, shutting down communication systems, radar, navigation, flight controls, and weapon guidance. A modern fighter hit by this system wouldn't explode. It would simply go dark, every screen dead, every system offline, turning into a powerless object falling from the sky. This isn't science fiction. The U.S. Air Force has already tested real systems like Thor, which can disable entire swarms of drones using bursts of microwave energy. Directed energy weapons are an active, well-funded field of military research worldwide. What's different about the X-1 is the claim that this technology has been miniaturized, refined, and successfully mounted on a fast-moving hypersonic aircraft. Now imagine you're the pilot on the other side. You're flying an F-22 at 40,000 feet. Your radar picks up something, barely, moving at a speed your system wasn't designed to track. Before you can react, every screen in your cockpit goes black. Your heads-up display vanishes. Your radio cuts to static. Your engines are still running, but your flight computer is dead. You're sitting inside 20 tons of the most advanced military hardware ever built. And it just became a glider. That's the tactical impact. No dogfight, no missile exchange, just silence. The battlefield shifts from kinetic warfare to electronic warfare, faster, quieter, and far harder to defend against. In some scenarios, these systems could affect multiple targets simultaneously, making them devastatingly effective against drone swarms or coordinated formations. This isn't hypothetical anymore. Right now, Gulf states are burning through their interceptor stockpiles trying to stop Iranian drone swarms. The UAE alone has faced over 2,000 drones since February. Traditional missiles cost hundreds of thousands of dollars each, You can't afford to shoot down endless waves of cheap drones with million-dollar interceptors. But a microwave burst, that costs almost nothing per use. A single pass from the X-1 could neutralize an entire swarm without expending any ammunition at all. Still, some scientists have raised concerns. The long-term health effects of directed energy exposure are not fully understood, and the ethical questions surrounding these weapons are only beginning to be asked. And that leads to the most unsettling claim about the X-1 yet. What it does to people. The X-1's microwave system doesn't just target machines. According to reports, when the intensity is lowered and directed at humans, something disturbing happens. Microwave energy at specific frequencies interacts with the outer layer of human skin, exciting water molecules and triggering a rapid temperature spike. The body reads it as danger, an instant, overwhelming burning sensation, as though your skin is on fire. No flame, no contact, no warning, just sudden, unbearable heat from nowhere. This isn't theoretical. The active denial system, a real military project, was built on this exact principle, forcing people to flee without causing permanent injury. The sensation is so intense that staying in place becomes physically impossible. Your survival instinct takes over before your mind can process what's happening. Now scale that up and mount it on an aircraft moving at 4,600 miles per hour. Soldiers on the ground feel sudden, searing heat with no visible source. They abandon their positions, their vehicles, their equipment. An entire defensive line clears itself without a single shot fired, a single explosion triggered, or a single casualty inflicted. Some defense analysts are calling this a behavior control weapon, one that doesn't destroy targets, but controls them, winning engagements at the lowest possible human cost. Others call it something more troubling, a weapon that operates in a gray zone where the line between non-lethal deterrence and suffering becomes dangerously blurred. Either way, if the X-1 truly carries this capability, it doesn't just change how wars are fought. It changes what a weapon even means. Stealth and camouflage. Then there's the stealth. The X-1's camouflage reportedly goes far beyond traditional radar evasion. According to insider sources, it can visually blend into the sky, appearing like a cloud to the naked eye. Invisible to radar, invisible to human eyes. Think about that. An aircraft at 105,000 feet, moving at Mach 6, that nobody can see. Reports suggest the Pentagon mistook early test flights for actual UFOs, scrambling fighter jets before realizing what they were chasing. The aircraft disappeared from tracking screens entirely. That confusion between Musk and the military is reportedly ongoing. Musk sees the X-1 as a strategic tool, while the Pentagon is uneasy about a private company holding technology this powerful. The tension keeps growing because whoever controls this technology controls a decisive advantage in any future conflict. The skeptics' case now, let's be honest, not everyone is convinced, and there are legitimate reasons for doubt. Sustained hypersonic flight in a maneuverable aircraft remains one of the hardest unsolved challenges in aerospace engineering. At Mach 5 and above, air friction generates temperatures intense enough to melt conventional metals. The materials science required to survive those conditions would represent a generational breakthrough all on its own. There's also the human factor. No pilot can withstand the G-forces involved in high-speed maneuvering at these velocities, which means the X-1 would likely need to be either fully unmanned or rely heavily on AI-assisted flight controls. Neither option has been confirmed. And unmanned hypersonic flight with real-time combat decision-making would itself be a breakthrough that doesn't currently exist in any operational system. The directed energy weapons add another layer of skepticism. While the underlying science is sound and prototype systems do exist, miniaturizing them to fit on a fast-moving aircraft while maintaining enough power to disable targets at range is an engineering challenge that defense contractors have been working on for years without a deployable solution. And the biggest red flag of all? SpaceX has not acknowledged the X-1's existence. Every claim traces back to unnamed insiders and unverified defense industry reports. That doesn't mean it's fabricated, but it does mean we should weigh the excitement against the evidence carefully. This is where opinions split. Some analysts believe the X-1 is already flying in classified tests. Others think it's disinformation designed to make adversaries waste resources preparing for a weapon that doesn't exist. What do you think? Real project or the greatest bluff in military history? Drop your take in the comments. Either way, SpaceX has surprised the world before, and the sheer volume of consistent reporting from credible defense sources is difficult to dismiss entirely. How it stacks up against modern fighters. Even with healthy skepticism, the claimed specifications paint a stark picture when measured against today's best. The F-35, America's most widely deployed advanced fighter, tops out at about 1,200 miles per hour. The F-22, purpose-built for air superiority, reaches around 1,500 miles per hour. Both are formidable machines, loaded with advanced sensors and powerful weapons, including hypersonic missiles capable of Mach 4. But place those numbers next to the X-1's claimed 4,600 miles per hour, and the gap becomes almost absurd. Reports suggest the X-1 could reach a target, destroy it, and return to base before an F-35 has even arrived in the combat zone. That changes the fundamental nature of air combat, from positioning and dogfighting to a pure race against time. Modern missiles, even the fastest ones, rely on tracking and predicting their target's movement. At extreme speeds and unpredictable trajectories, interception becomes a near impossible calculation. Add the microwave weapon system, and traditional fighters face a double threat. They can't catch the X-1, and if they get close enough to try, their electronics could be fried before they fire a single shot. Now, some military analysts disagree with this. They argue that no aircraft is truly untouchable, that a well-coordinated missile defense network could still bring the X-1 down. Others say that's wishful thinking from people who haven't accepted that the rules have changed. It's one of the most heated debates in defense circles right now. Even the SR-71 Blackbird, once the king of speed at over 2,000 miles per hour, looks modest next to the X-1. More than twice as fast, better hidden, and armed with weapons the Blackbird never carried. The Blackbird's only defense was to outrun threats. The X-1 doesn't need to run. It neutralizes pursuers before they get within range. If a single X-1 can dominate an airspace by disabling every electronic system in its path, the entire doctrine of air defense needs to be rewritten. But the X-1 isn't being developed in a vacuum. The Iran war has proven that drone and missile technology is advancing faster than defenses can keep up. The hypersonic arms race is global, and multiple nations are pouring billions into next-generation aircraft. The question isn't just whether the X-1 is real. It's whether it arrives before the next wave of threats makes today's fighters obsolete. The SR-72, son of Blackbird. But the X-1 isn't the only next-generation aircraft reshaping the future of air power. Lockheed Martin's SR-72, nicknamed the son of Blackbird, is designed to reach Mach 6, over 3,500 miles per hour, and nearly double the speed of its legendary predecessor. What makes the SR-72 truly revolutionary is its propulsion. It uses a turbine-based combined cycle engine that operates like a conventional jet at lower speeds and transitions seamlessly to a scramjet for hypersonic flight. That smooth shift from takeoff to extreme velocity without needing a separate rocket boost has never been fully achieved in an operational aircraft. At Mach 6, friction generates heat intense enough to melt traditional airframes, so engineers are developing advanced composites from carbon, ceramics, and high-performance alloys, essentially turning the aircraft into a flying heat shield. The SR-72 is expected to be unmanned and capable of carrying hypersonic weapons that launch from well outside enemy defense perimeters. An aircraft like this could reach targets across continents in under an hour. But here's the thing. The X-1 is reportedly still faster. And unlike the SR-72, which is designed primarily for reconnaissance and strike, The X-1 combines that speed with directed energy weapons and visual camouflage. The SR-72 would be a generational leap forward. The X-1, if real, would be 2 leaps ahead. NGAD, the system of systems. Then there's NGAD, the Next Generation Air Dominance Program. Unlike a single aircraft, NGAD is a connected ecosystem. The U.S. Air Force describes it as a system of systems. Manned fighters, autonomous drones, satellites, and ground assets all working together as one unified force. At its core, NGAD integrates artificial intelligence almost as a co-pilot. The AI processes battlefield data in real time, tracking threats, recommending actions, and enabling split-second decisions no human alone could make fast enough. The fighter also commands autonomous drones called loyal wingmen. Some scout ahead with precise radars, detecting threats at significant distances. Others carry advanced weapons and engage targets within seconds. All of them operate while the piloted aircraft stays at a safer distance. Stealth, long range, and survivability in contested airspace complete the picture. The aircraft is expected to fly faster than Mach 2, operating deep inside enemy territory where older jets couldn't survive. The program represents billions in research aimed at securing American air dominance for decades. NGAD's philosophy is clear. It's not about building the fastest jet. It's about building the smartest network. Yet even NGAD's networked intelligence has a vulnerability the X-1 could exploit. A microwave burst powerful enough to disable electronics wouldn't just knock out a single fighter. It could disrupt the entire connected system. If the X-1's directed energy weapons work as described, NGAD's greatest strength, its digital connectivity, could also become its greatest weakness. Tempest. Europe's answer. Europe isn't sitting idle. The Tempest, a 6th-generation fighter led by the UK alongside Italy and Japan, targets service around 2035 with a strikingly different design philosophy. Tempest can operate with a pilot or completely unmanned. For high-risk missions, it flies autonomously. In complex situations, a pilot takes command. That dual capability fundamentally changes how planners think about risk. The cockpit replaces traditional screens with a helmet-mounted display that layers targets, threats, and navigation directly onto the pilot's visor. The helmet also monitors brain signals and biometric data, building a psychometric profile for each pilot. The AI uses that profile in real time, taking over controls during a G-force blackout or redistributing workload when stress spikes. Tempest operates within a combat cloud, sharing data with drones, aircraft, and ground systems. It controls drone swarms, functioning more like an airborne command center than a single jet. Weapons are carried internally for stealth, and the airframe uses radar-absorbing materials. It also carries hypersonic missiles designed to maneuver around anti-aircraft defenses at extreme speeds. This isn't one country's project. It's a joint effort pooling resources across continents, a preview of how next-generation weapons programs will be built. But even with all that firepower and innovation, the Tempest shares the same Achilles heel as every other electronic aircraft. It depends on functioning systems. Against an X-1 armed with microwave weapons that can fry electronics from miles away, even the most advanced 6th-generation fighter could find itself powerless before the fight even begins. As the Iran war unfolds and drone swarms overwhelm billion-dollar defense systems, one thing is clear. The old rules of air warfare are breaking down in real time. The SR-72, NGAD, and the Tempest are all impressive. But the X-1, if it's real, doesn't just compete with them. It makes them all vulnerable. The age of dogfights is ending, and what replaces it may already be flying above our heads, invisible, untouchable, and completely silent. Which of these aircraft do you think will dominate the future skies? Drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe, because this arms race is just getting started.